My name is Preriit, and I work for TNS in London office. I'll come straight to the point. For last 15 years, since the emergence of social media monitoring tools are stuck in techniques which are largely, I would say, borrowed from web analytics. Now, these techniques give useful insights from the quantifiable social media data, but challenge of understanding qualitative granularity, which is hidden in this ocean of public discussion, remains largely unaddressed. Now, means for some time, I would say almost 2+ years, we have been putting a lot of effort in trying to use different techniques which are borrowed from, say, data science and a host of other different fields. And it's like trying to see how we can make, how we can get meaning out of these enormous amount of unstructured data. And I mean, how we can draw insight from this amount of data with the objectives of research in our mind. I'll go through all these different things we have been doing. Some of the examples I will show. Some of the examples I cannot show because it's a client work, but it's like certainly means I'll try to explain what we have done, and some of the work which are more on the public domain, I'll share it across. Now, having said that, this is a new area, and I would say I'll be the upfront and say that this is a like we are just scratching the surface. So it's like feel free to like even in this webinar or after later on, appreciate you criticizing, suggesting, or collaborating with us, because we really want that like we improve in what we are doing. Okay. Now let's look at, now a lot of people when I talk about social media analytics, they say, oh yeah, I know you do something about say number of tweets, number of hashtags, those trends lines which are coming up, or say on Facebook you do like likes, shares and comments and all those kind of things. And I mean, I would say yes, we do that, but that's not our unique selling point. And I would say still that we do what we call this kind of work is volumetric lens, and the stuff which you are seeing here is being offered by all social media monitoring tools. But we feel that, or personally I feel that that's very useful in getting a kind of top level understanding, creating a hypothesis to explore, and also it's an, I would say, industry standard. So it's like if I'm meeting a client and if I don't show this stuff, they will say, okay, fine, I've done something weird kind of thing. So it's like this more of a kind of starting point. From my experience, I would say that don't give simply numbers, because explain its impact, story, and suitable actions. Try to link what you are seeing on social media with what you are seeing in your survey findings. So I'll just give you an example. We do a lot of stuff. In fact, if you look at my Twitter, just on Friday I talked about how we are linking Scottish referendum social media research with surveys which we do for opinion, means whether they will vote yes or no. Means, by the way, I don't know whether how many know Scottish referendum. Scottish referendum is basically Scotland, which is a part of United Kingdom, wants to move out of United Kingdom, and there's a referendum lined up on 18th September, and we do a lot of stuff on that. What we did was we analyzed their Twitter pages, like Twitter conversations and Facebook pages, and tried to see what is coming out from there. Then that was a social media aspect. And then we also do opinion polling, which is like how many percentage will poll yes or no and such kind of thing. Now we try to merge both of them, and we see what are different things coming up on social media and how is it linking with survey. Means like say we could see what are behavioral traits which are experienced on Facebook pages, like say sharing behavior, commenting frequencies, on volumes of shares, likes, etc. And how was it linking to the behavior which we saw about those followers in the offline world. So it means when you look at volumetric lens, don't just look at what you are seeing like number of tweets, shares, etc. but try to see what's beneath those numbers, and that's what means I feel is very important. Now again, this is a starting point. Let's move to the real stuff that we do. Conversation mapping. Now, we converse all the time, may it be in real life or in social media. So say for example today, I talked to Ray for 3 minutes. I talked to my CEO for like say 6 minutes. My boss to like with 12 minutes. Now in conversation mapping, we are trying to replicate that same thing in social media. So who is talking to whom, when, and how much. And all this with respect to the brand in mind. So say for example, this is basically a kind of, let's keep it simple. It's basically a kind of snapshot of social conversation. If you look at the picture which is on your screen, you will see that there are different dots and there are linkages between them. What are they? The circles that you see are Twitter users. Now whenever a Twitter user has tweeted around a campaign, here it was a campaign, and whenever he has tweeted about it, means he is mapped on this map. Now whenever he is referring or replying, he is linked by a line. So say for example, say client brand, the one which is shown here, means tweeted and he was referencing say brand 2, then he is linked by a line. More he is referencing and replying to different people, the thicker the lines become. So say for example, critic 1 talked to say ad agency say 21 times, while it talked to media 1 say 20 times, 10 times. So the thickness of those lines keep on changing accordingly. Now you might say, okay, fine, okay, you are doing this conversation mapping, but what's the advantage of it? The biggest thing is it gives a structure to the conversation. Now here I'm dealing with a lot of unstructured data. We are trying to find out how we can structurize in a way, and when you structurize it, the analysis is much more simpler. It makes more meaning, and it gets you get a context to the meaning, and that's what we are trying to give here. Now what are the uses of it? First, it gives drivers of conversation. So people who are most influential, and it's like influential, a lot of say people, oh, isn't that cloud score or CRAD score or such kind of thing? Yes, but here we are looking for the most influential people with respect to the conversation we are doing. So it's like here we are looking only for influential people with respect to the campaign we were tracking. So it's like someone might be a very influential person, but with respect to this study, with respect to this campaign, they might not be so influential. So we try to find that. People who are most talkers, who are most talked to, important relayers of information, these are some of the things we try to decipher from this. To give an example, a client of mine was doing a promotion event, and it's like they had a couple of partners who had agreed that okay fine, they will help them promote the event on social media. Now here we could see that, you know what, these people, the partners, how much were they influential? Were they really impactful? Or it's like there were people who said that they will promote the event, but it's like they were not coming out to be influential, or it's like impactful. So, and it's like we could say that some partners who were like small, not so influential, I would say, in like CRAD score and all, but when you looked at this conversation mapping, you could say that, you know what, these guys really drove the conversation, and these were the guys who actually got people talking about it, and it's like how did they impact that entire conversation? We could see those people, influential people. The second example I would say is like we also get scenarios where we can understand difference between paid media and earned media. I was working on a client which had a campaign effectiveness, like we were trying to see how much effective the campaign was, and there was an ad agency and their associates were trying to retweet and tweet amongst themselves. So because of that, there's a metric called impressions. Impressions went up. Now impressions are basically how many people saw your tweets. Now because they were tweeting and retweeting amongst themselves, impressions went up, and it's like they went and showed it to a marketing magazine that, you know what, it's like they had so much of impressions, but actually in reality 40% was actually tweeting amongst themselves. So like when you do this conversation mapping, you can find that okay fine, what is the amount of conversations which are happening like growing organically or inorganically. And I would just like to clarify that I'm not against this kind of thing, because like it does generate a lot of buzz, but the client still needs to know what is the amount of paid media and earned media. There's also another example where we have used is in understanding flow of information and virality. Now, I would just give an example. Recently, a client had a kind of scenario where a media story came up, erupted, and literally like I would say destroy the brand image. So like here what we did is like we could map that means we could see the build up that okay fine, initially 2 days one story came up, and it's like means there was an indication that something is coming, and then certainly story picks up on the day at around 5 a.m. means TV channel reports it does not pick up. Around 6 a.m. BBC and Sky are reported, and suddenly it turns out to be massive. And it's like people start jumping around from all places. They're like journalists, celebrities, bloggers, etc., etc. And it's like influential people relayed by influential entities like say radio channels and such kind of things. And it's like we could see that exact flow from being something which was captured by a few, how it spread out to many. So like we could see that transition. So in the future, if my client is looking at it, it's like they have an idea, okay fine, what are important hubs of influence, and it's like, are those hubs of influence positive or they are negative, and what are different layers of information. So it's like there are hubs which create information, or it's like, and there are relayers who relay the information. So it's like next time they are better prepared to handle such kind of situations. We have also used these to find clusters of people. So it's like say these 100 people are like say speaking positive about you, these people are like say negative about you, or say these 70 people are speaking only about say X topic, and these say 70 people are talking Y topic, and such kind of clustering we have been doing this. Now again, this is for Twitter. Now let's move to Facebook. So before I move ahead, I'd just like to explain why are we using this for Facebook. Now it's like the previous one, Twitter, you might have seen it before. There have been some stuff done on that side. I would say a lot of stuff. But for Facebook pages, why we are using it. Now Facebook is different from Twitter. Now the thing is, here on Facebook, conversations happen mostly with respect to some updates. Now like here I'm talking about Facebook brand page. So a Facebook update comes up and people start talking around it. So what we are talking has a context to it. Now most of the social media tools, or I would say generically speaking, most people how they do is like go to their social media tool and type okay fine, search for any Facebook post which said say McDonald's, say for example, and try to make sense of it. Somehow I have felt that when you do that, you try to look at those orphan conversations, they are not so insightful because they do not have the context and the meaning to it. So when we started looking at it, we particularly focused on Facebook brand pages and use these network maps to give a structure to the conversation. Now let's explain the basic of what it is. Here, Facebook page, here the entire Facebook page of a particular brand is mapped. Blue circles are Facebook updates, and red ones are fans. So whenever a fan has commented on a Facebook update, he's linked by those blue lines. More he has spoken about it, means thicker the line becomes. Now if you look at the picture, means the circles become smaller or bigger. Those are basically updates. So the update more has had engagement. Engagement is basically like likes, shares, and comments. More engagement has happened on it, the bigger the circle. If you look in the middle, I know this is super zoomed out image, but it's like if you look in the middle, there are few red circles which are slightly bigger, I would say. These are the users which were like means highly active, I would say, means who have commented on a lot of other things. Now if you just look at it, what does it help? Well, it shows the most engaging post, the Facebook updates which got a lot of people chatting about it, most active users, and on which particular post were they very active on. We have used this to compare different Facebook pages, means based on which it's like, so say for example brand 1 has this kind of engagement mechanism, while say brand 2 has this kind of engagement mechanism on those pages, so that we can understand what are different strategies in place. It's like we also used it to understand high activity fans. So say for example we have done it, as I was referring, in a political page, and we could see that there are fans who are like very much like passive advocates or critics. So like we could see some patterns coming out of their behavior. Now, it's like we could also decipher interaction strategies which are used by page owners. So it's like page owners also have their own interaction strategies. They get involved in conversation. So like we also try to find if there are patterns coming out in their interaction strategies. Clustering. Now, here what we have done, this is again Facebook brand page. This actually was done on How I Met Your Mother's Facebook brand page. It's a famous American situational comedy. It's over now. We did it in March, around February, March. So what we did here, we did clustering of Facebook posts based on fan behavior. So here we created around 14 clusters which were based on similar themes and similar interactors. I mean, it's fans who means, so let me explain. Say for example, updates around say Neil Patrick Harris going to Grammys, it's like was put into one cluster, or say Slapbat, it's a thing of How I Met Your Mother. So it's like post communications around Slapbat were clustered into one. So it's basically clusters. We create clusters of different communications based on fan behavior. If you look at down, there's a How I Met Your Mother season finale introduced, and down there's like a weird dot kind of things. What are they? This thing actually got your latent fans to interact. Let me explain what that means. On How I Met Your Mother, there are I think millions of fans, but not every communication attracts their fans to actually interact with them. But it's like there are some communications which get your latent fans to get up and talk to you, means kind of thing. So here what we also get is like understanding of which were the communications which attracted your latent fans. So it's like maybe you can draw out your strategy that these kind of communications are actually working better, or these are not working, or such kind of things. Now, if you're a marketer looking at it, what can it help? Well, this helps in understanding the diversity of interest of your fans. So it's like you might have a fan, like fans of How I Met Your Mother, like millions, but they won't like each and every communication or each and every aspect of your brand. It's like using this, you can see, understand what is the diversity of that interest. Now, before I move away from Facebook, I'll just like to say what other things we have done on Facebook. So one thing which we did is like trying to decipher what are different ideas resonating among fans. So say for example you have Facebook updates and people comment on it, and other fans actually like on those different comments. So means we try to find patterns among such kind of resonating ideas and try to see if we can means make some sense of it. So say for example, I was working on a project where it's like there were people who are coming up and say, guys, you are not doing this thing right, you need to make changes to this product in this and this way. And a lot of people actually agreed with them, yes, he's right, or liking, or such kind of thing. So like we try to find such resonating ideas which are coming from your own fans. We are also, I was once working on alcohol brand, and one fan actually said, actually when I drink this alcohol, it reminds me of my father when he was alive, and so and so, so and so. And it's like, a lot of people agreed, yes, you know what, I also felt the same way, I also felt the same way. So like maybe the brand, it's like could use such kind of ideas to maybe communicate or maybe make some changes in their communications accordingly. So like we try to find such resonating ideas. And lastly, we also try to find the impact of media stories. On different Facebook brand page. So it's like there are media stories which come around your brand, organization, etc., etc. We try to see how those media stories are impacting conversations on your brand page. Text mining. Now, as I said, that network maps gave a structure to the conversation, but text mining helps you understand the meaning out of those conversations. Means a lot of people come up and say, you know what, social media tools, all social media do it, tools do it. Well, that's true, but there's a difference. most social media tools have a kind of, I would say majority, I would say, have a generic algorithm. So it does not means the algorithms are not contextualized based on, say, either you are analyzing Coca-Cola or you are analyzing, say, Conservative Party in England, say for example. So it's like there's no context in it. And what means when we started doing text mining, we realized that, you know what, text mining, this won't work. So it's like we started doing a contextualized text mining. What does that mean? So we can customize our algorithms based on your brand, organization, the positioning they have, the context, the location, in such kind of scenarios. It's like, so technically speaking, we do use natural language processing with human intelligence to understand explicit, implicit, and contextual meaning. So, well, means it sounds big names, but what does that mean? Say, for example, I'm working on means the Scottish thing, which I was referring before, and there's a politician called Alex Salmond. He's the first minister of Scotland, which is like, say, governor of California kind of thing, just to explain. Means he's like the head of that Scotland. And now Alex Salmond is also referred by things like, say, first minister, eek, salmonella, and means a host of other things. So, I mean, it means if you give to a machine, it will say, okay, fine, no, Alex Salmond is a person, that's it. But it's like we could contextualize the algorithm that, you know what, in this particular scenario, first minister, eek, salmonella are all referring to Alex Salmond. So like that's what is a contextualized algorithm means. There are also things like, say, in Scotland there are words like, say, RUK, I Scotland, Indie Scotland, and even if you look on Wikipedia, half of those things won't come up. Well, it means in most cases, but it's like here we could contextualize the algorithm that, you know what, in this scenario it means this. In fact, to just give an interesting example, I was working on a client who had a promotion around which had elephants in it. And people got so much excited that they started referring, you know what, it's like this elephant, blah, blah, blah. It's like they were referring to their promotion with respect to that elephant. And the machine will think that, you know what, elephant is an animal, that's it. But like here we could contextualize it that, you know what, no, here it's a promotion, and hence analyze it accordingly. Thematic mapping. So now we will move into different aspects of text mining. Now, there are thousands of conversation. Now it's like what we are doing here is categorizing into a hand-level number of themes. And it's like these themes or categories are based on the objectives of the study. So it's like we do, I mean, this was around the Scottish referendum again. I mean, I'm sharing that because that's in the public domain, because some other stuff I cannot share. But yeah. So it's like we do a survey, in that survey we also ask different issues which you have with the independents, and it's like here we try to understand those issues from social media data. So it's like here we contextualize the algorithm. It's like to take into consideration these different issues being discussed around independence. So like if you look at the biggest one, which is around issue of currency. So whenever people talk about, say, whether they want to remain with pound sterling or not, euro or ERM, which is a mechanism kind of stuff, currency union, it's like these are different sub issues which are being discussed with respect to currency. So like all those conversations are go into the issue of currency. More the conversations have happened around this issue, bigger the circle. Now, if you just look at it, this is basically showing what are different issues being discussed. The bigger the circle means more that issue is important to those followers. Now, if you're a marketeer, okay, fine. It gives you what are different issues around the brand which are important to your fans. But it also helps you understand the difference between what you are saying on Facebook, what your communications are, and what your fans are saying. So it's like you might be saying about, say, XYZ, but your fans are interested only in talking about ABC. So it's like maybe you need to change your strategies. And it's like that's what we're trying to decipher here. We are also, as I was saying, we have used this to compare what is coming out on social media and what is coming out on survey. And if there are differences, why are those differences? If not, why are there no differences? We also use this for a client in which we want to understand the behavior change. Now certainly I cannot, well, using social media you cannot say whether they have actually changed their behavior, but you can certainly say how many times that behavior change has been stated or relayed. And it's like that's where it's like we can see what is the impact of their campaign around behavior change. Now, in fact, there have also been cases where we have been able to decipher issues which were not even hypothesized in surveys. So it's like there were things which the survey team could not even hypothesize, and it was not in the survey, but we found it on social media. In fact, there's an interesting thing that when I showed it to the client, he said, "No, you're a liar," kind of thing. And it's like, at that time, it's like she actually just Googled it and found that, you know what, yes, this has actually happened, and no one had an idea that this has actually happened. So like we actually try to decipher things which are not hypothesized. Inter-themes. Now the themes that you saw are not siloed. There are interrelations between them. And it's like using this inter-thematic map, we are trying to find interrelations between them. Okay, let's explain. See, for example, McDonald's. Now it's like if you look, if you mine their social media conversation, and it's like there are different aspects of their brand, product offering, which come across. So say, for example, burgers is one of the thing or issue, and say milkshake. And it's like you find that there is a strong interrelation between them. There is a strong link between them. While there is not such a strong relation between burger and Coke. So like people do not relate those two products together. So like maybe next time when they are doing their product planning or product offering, what they call like Happy Meal or something like that, it's like, I mean, they can take that into consideration. Here again, I'm showing an inter-thematic map. Now the previous one that you saw is actually, means I've not labeled it, but it's like here what we have done is basically we have taken that Scottish thingy because we can explain it better. The previous one was a more complete map, which is sometimes a bit difficult to understand. So like here we are, what I've done is basically shown an inter-theme with respect to a single theme. So say for example currency, the one which I showed before. Here if you look at it, now this is with respect to the Scottish independence. And you will see that currency is highly referred in conjunction with things like, say, banking, Bank of England, Alex Salmon, death, etc., etc. So this is giving, this gives a kind of understanding of perceived relation between different issues as per your fans. And it's like, I would like to stress as per your fans, because we have found in scenario in this particular political study that there are certain things which may be related from a macroeconomic point of view, but when it's perceived by your fans, they don't get related. So it's like, when you are planning your communications, it's like you need to take that into consideration. To give another example, we did some study for telecom, and it's like we could see that how different issues around, say, network strength, service, speed, etc., etc., were interrelated amongst each other, and how that led to churn, in the industry. Now it's like again these social media conversations, without even using surveys, like we could say that what were different things in conjunction which were leading to churn. Tonality map. Now, most of the social media tools will say, you know what, we do sentiments, and sentiments is one of the most overrated, but one of the overrated, but still not the the perfect, or it's like even closer to a perfect analysis. And it's like one of the things which I never agreed with the way how sentiments are done is basically most people how they do is like +1 -1 scenario. I like Alex Salmon +1, I hate Alex Salmon -1. But the thing is that our feelings, our opinions are not binary. There are different shades to it, and that's what we are trying to show here using this tonality maps. So like we are trying to look for different shades of opinion around your brand, or around issues, or around brand image, products, product features, etc., etc. Let's give an example. So, here I'm using this public domain example, and it's like here, before I move ahead, this opinion mining or tonality mapping is customized with respect to the objective of the study. So say for example, we did this for this Scottish referendum, where it's like we mine issues around different issues, like say for example issue of currency, what were different opinions coming around that, or say issue of say independence, what were different issues coming out, or say issues around, or say opinions around Alex Salmond, who is a personality. Now it's like Alex Salmond is a personality, so it's like how you mine your opinions is a different way how you do it, because there is a generic personality opinion or there is an issue based opinion of that person. So say for example things like say unreliable, wrong, dislike him, those are more of a kind of generic personality opinion. And it's like they're issue based, like say responsible for bad education, and that, I mean that's more of a kind of issue based opinion. So like we try to decipher different kinds of opinion and different shades of it means based on the algorithms, which is contextualized based on the objective of the study. Web mining, continuing from the opinion mining I was talking about. Here what you are seeing is basically opinion with respect to products and product features. So like here we were looking at what are different opinions around chocolate bars basically. But there's a slight difference. Here the data is not coming from Facebook and Twitter. This data is actually coming from blogs. And blogs is one of the stuff which is generally slightly underrated, but it's also one of the very important sources of information. One thing is that it is not constrained by imposed hypotheses or boundaries or scales which are set up by surveys. It's like, so several features, aspects of product which are not considered in our surveys are actually captured, means when you mine or understand, means try to understand these blogs. And this is quite important because when you combine information or insights which is coming from this unstructured, unconstrained opinions with your hypothesized surveys, your understanding is much more holistic and much more usable. Spatialytics, basically it's a location analysis. Location data we have been using to understand context of the conversation, impact of campaign by location, and opinions by geography. Now, in fact, you might be knowing that there are a lot of promotions which happen by location, and it's like companies spend thousands of dollars for those promotions. Here what we are seeing, what we are trying to find is like what is the impact of those location-based promotions on chatter around it. So it's like this is what we call as transient in-moment opinions. So what is the opinion when they saw your promotion at London Bridge versus what is the opinion which is coming from say King's Cross. And so we try to decipher what is, how did that promotion at those particular location impact the entire whole of conversation. Now this was transient. There is also called static opinions, which are basically say opinion around energy companies. I mean that won't change if you are tweeting from say London Bridge or King's Cross, but it will be useful if you try to find what is the opinion coming from London versus Glasgow. And that's what we are trying to find using these static opinions. And these are like opinions by geography. And it's like here this spatial analytics is not as a kind of siloed analysis. This is a kind of combination of spatial analytics and text mining. So like all the themes and tones and opinions that you saw before is merged with this location data, like to try to get that locational impact. Means from the, for the data scientists who might be listening, there's like we are basically using things like say geotags, profile locations, and locations which are mined from your text, basically your conversations. Media impact. Now it's like we look at media stories which are impacting your conversations and your brand, and that has helped us decode root cause of opinions which are propagated on social media. This is also it has also helped us in understanding flow of opinion between social media and the offline world, because there's a strong interplay between what is on social media, what is in the offline world, and how is the media looking at both of them. So like we try to find this flow of information. And it's like from a methodological point of view, it's like here we are tying up conversation mapping that you saw before, those network maps and all, with the links which are being shared on social media. lastly, I guess this slide bored you guys a lot. So it's like ending on a beautiful picture. And it's like the stuff that I saw are more of a kind of analytical ways. It's like we are also using a host of different data visualization techniques to visualize this large amount of data. So it's like, say, thousands and millions. What we have done here, the picture which is in front of you, we are trying to show thousands of millions of data points in one single snapshot. So if you look at those strands which are moving, these are basically the violet and the blue one. These are the times when maximum activity has taken place. Now it's like it is useful when you are showing, like, say, million tweets, and it's like you want to show that at what particular time maximum conversations have happened. And that's it. Thanks for tolerating me.